Hey everyone, welcome to Birds of a Feather. Today we're transforming a mid-century modern sewing table and stool by painting them pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Here we've got a mid-century modern sewing machine table. We've already started to take it apart. We've got 3 of the legs here. I'm going to be painting it a really bright pink peony color. So we're just getting prepared right now. We're going to mark everything with some green tape here, and we're going to put all the parts into a bag so that we can put it back together again. We always take a ton of pictures so that, there's no question as to where anything goes, and we can put it back together as easily as it came apart. What I love about this particular table is the front panel here. It's got 10 squares, which I think I'm going to do sort of different color paints, make it very colorful. And then the rest is going to be a bright sort of pink. It's called peony. It's just going to be a fun little table. We always label everything so that we don't lose parts as we take things apart. And so we're going to be painting this in a peony color, so we've got it marked peony. We've got different bags here, so we're going to separate out all the parts as we take this apart. As you can see on this side, the veneer is still intact. In most cases, the veneer on these older vintage pieces will kind of bubble and fall off. It's the hide glue, so we're just going to sand that back and prime it and just paint right over it, and you'll never know it's missing. So another interesting thing about this particular style of table is that it opens from the side and has storage, a storage bin right there, as opposed to the front. So this panel in the front is just decorative. It does not open, and instead it opens at the side here. And there you go, fully open. So we're just going to go ahead and take this apart, get everything into bags, label it, take very good pictures.
When you slide your Singer foot pedal back into here, it can be taken out and used on the floor as a foot pedal, or when it slides back into the case, now it works with this knee operated lever, pushes on the button for your pedal, and now you can run the machine with your knee.
So many ingenious inventions. On the top here you can see that there's several layers before we get to the veneer. We've got this piece of back banding here, and then the veneer sits on top of that. Same with the bottom. You can see that thickness here is back banding, and then a thin piece of veneer sticks to that. And then this middle part is the core of the wood.
So the back banding, if this wood you started with runs this way, the back banding runs the opposite way, and it creates stability in the wood. Top and bottom have to be the same. Creates stability so the board doesn't warp. Then they put the veneer on the proper direction you want to see it. And that creates a stable top that doesn't warp.
So can we even tell if... Yeah, you can see actually on the corner here.
You can see the grain.
That the grain is going that way.
This
at
way
right
on
angles.
the back banding.
The more we work with these vintage cabinets, the more we develop tools for making it easier to refinish them. So for instance, as you can see, the veneer is lifting on the inside of this side piece here. So we're going to have to re-glue it with hide glue, because that's the glue that was originally used. So we've got this piece here cut out of a piece of plywood, and we use it to clamp it, and they're typically all the same dimensions. So we're going to put a clamp just around here, make a sandwich out of it after it's glued back together, and that's a very useful tool to have. So we found an old piece of wood off an old table, and we're just going to use that to clamp. And on the other side we can use a paint stick, because it's just protecting the finish. So it doesn't have to be equally thick, it just has to be sandwiched, and that way it distributes the pressure evenly. What we're going to be using to apply pressure for this particular job as the wood dries are these C-clamps here. We're going to show you the difference between clamps.
So we have 2 types of clamps. We have a screw C-clamp, and we have a clamp you squeeze to shut. Typically you can get more pressure with a C-clamp turning this. You get an awful lot of pressure squeezing that. Whereas squeezing this, it won't squeeze as tight. If this is what you have, they're fine, but if I have a choice, I would use these. And if you don't have like wood to strengthen where you're going to glue, these give you a little better, softer pressure, like they're not going to mark your wood as easily. Whereas this, the pressure of that little spot is going to put a dent in your wood if you're not careful. So you need.
So you definitely need some wood around
If
it.
you have the wood to use and you have these, they'll give you a tighter bond. But these are just fine if that's what you have. Okay, 3 clamps, piece of wood on the outside, piece of wood for the inside, our glue brush, and our glue syringe. So we're going to start with this. I'm going to get down in here as far as we can. It's a long way down. You can see it coming out?
Yep.
We're just going to layer it in there. Bringing the needle out until you get a few lines in there. Same here, as far down as we can get it. And then we're going to come up a little bit. And we're going to come up higher. You can see it coming out. There we go. I'll make sure I got enough down in here.
Yeah, we need to get right down in there.
I may have to glue this bottom separately later. We'll see. So now, if you can see down in there, we have glue. It doesn't take a lot. A nice layer of glue everywhere in there. Okay. Release the pressure a little bit like that. Okay, now.
Well, how do you know you have enough in there? Just out of curiosity.
It's just guesswork. As long as you have enough to, it's going to squeeze so tight, it will really spread out in there.
Okay.
If you don't put enough, you'll know, because next time it'll come loose and you'll have to add more glue.
So it's just by experience, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to put too much glue. Easier if you have 2 hands. It's next to a person here, but see, this was all set up, so there we go. You can see the glue squeezing out of that edge. So the good thing about the tape too, if you can't get the tape off now, when you take the clamps off, any excess glue will probably be on that tape and will just peel off, and then you can sand the excess. There's 1, 2, 3. So with this thick piece of wood here, it's not going to bend, it's going to put pressure over the whole piece. There's 1. Make it nice and tight. 2, 3. You can see a little bit of glue squeezing out. We're going to be sanding this afterwards, so I'm not too concerned about that excess glue. If I want, I can kind of brush the excess away where so it doesn't stick. That's it. We have a little corner here we'll have to do afterwards.
Yeah, that will have to be done
See, the
from
bottom needs a little bit too, but we'll do that later. It says clamp for 30 minutes. I would leave it a little longer. Leave it an hour overnight if you're not in a hurry. Let it dry properly. There you go. This very tiny edge we're doing here, I'm just going to use these clamps. This is a small glue stick. Oops, that side's flat. 2 of these. We're good to go. That's how easy it is.
So now we're going to clean up, and we're going to remove the glue from the syringe, and of course clean that so we can use it again.
So the glue in the syringe, if you have lots left, you can just squeeze it right back in.
Waste not, want not.
And then you're good to go. Save that to be used again. Make sure your glue is closed.
Today we're working on this old vintage sewing machine, and this is the front of it. It appears to be perhaps a walnut wood, so we prepped it by sanding off the finish. I've applied my tape here so that I can paint my pattern, and what I'm using today is this chalk paint by Dixie Belle. in a color called driftwood. So what I'm going to do is mist my paintbrush. Now I'm going to dip into the paint. And I'm going to start in the middle and work out to my edges. This will likely require 2 coats. And to finish, I'm just brushing along with the grain. So again, I'm going to dampen my brush with some water. I've got a mister here, and I'll dip into the paint. Now this is just a small area. So just do that carefully. Trying not to get too much paint on the brush here. And then again, I'm going to brush with the grain. Now I've got it on this rotating Lazy Susan here so that I can rotate my work. By starting on the edge of the tape and working towards me here, I'm avoiding bleed through under the paint. Now on areas as small as this one here, I'm just going to try to use whatever remaining paint I have on my brush. I just don't want to get it too wet. And again, as this is a first coat, if there's any areas that you miss, then you can come back with the second coat and just touch up those areas. So there, that's one side done already. I'm going to start on the other side, and I can't decide whether I'm going to match this part here to the body or paint it gray. So I'll see how I feel when I finish this off. I probably should have taped right here so that I can leave that free of paint. I think I'm just going to take a moment to do that. Now that the first coat is done, I'm going to let it dry for 30 minutes and then I'll come back and do my second coat.
I'm so excited to be using this gorgeous peony color by Dixie Belle Paint to complete a project for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Isn't this looking pretty in pink? We spray painted this table, so all the pieces are dry and it's ready to put together. Somebody kindly donated this stool to complete this set. It's also got a mid-century modern feel, and this one I'm going to be brushing on instead of spraying. It really pays to have all your hardware organized. So we've got each and every bag marked with what it is, and it's just a matter of grabbing and just reverse engineering how we took it apart.
My funny Valentine.